We're not solving, just setting up fractions. Can you see the screen okay? Alright. So the first part in being able to set up these fractions is labeling the specific sides. They give you that we need to label the sides of each right triangle. They will only be right triangles. They'll always have the little 90-degree box. Relative to theta. Theta is an angle marker they use. It's kind of like X. You can solve for it with hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent from theta. So this is how I like to label it. For some reason, across from the 90 degrees, everybody thinks hypotenuse. Like hypotenuse tends to be the easy one. Hypotenuse is across from the 90. Opposite side is referring to the opposite side of the angle you are looking from. So because this theta is standing in this corner, the opposite side, you have to walk across to the opposite side. Opposite would be over here. Which means, what will this last side be? Adjacent. So I place an A. I just use the first letters. I'm going to try it again on the middle one. The hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is across from that 90. Opposite is on the opposite side of the theta. So opposite side from the angle. That's the opposite side. Adjacent is the left. I just leave it for last. Adjacent, like an adjacent wall, is between two rooms. The adjacent is between the two, it's stuck between the two angles. That's why it's called adjacent. Do you think you can label the hypotenuse, the opposite side, and the adjacent side on the last triangle? Hypotenuse, opposite is opposite of the theta, and adjacent is between the two angles, or the last side. Question 1 on the left. I don't have, where's my black pen? On question 1, in our next example, I'm going to label O, H, and A. So hypotenuse, then the opposite is across from the theta that's given, and adjacent is between the two angles. Now this is the memorization tool that I like to use. It's called So Ka Toa. So Ka Toa. It is gibberish. It looks super weird. But what happens is these are going to become fractions. So wherever there's an O, so like this S is O over H, I would put O, which is a 3, over H. The C would be A over H. The T would be O over A. Then when you look to see which one they're trying to find, which one is the correct fraction that we are picking? The fraction would be 3 over 4. That would be our answer. Because it wants tangent, tangent, we pick the t fraction. Let's try question 2. So, toa. It is a memorization tool. It's just a memorization tool. Then, toa. I'm going to fill in the fraction. The hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is across from the 90. The opposite. And sorry, I switched my colors. Hypotenuse is across from the 90. The opposite side is across from the theta. Then adjacent is the last side, or between the angles. O is 6 root 10. H is a 21. A is a 9. H is a 21. O is 6 root 10. A is a 9. I check to see which one it wants. It asks for cosine of theta. Cosine would be 9 over 21. So if I label my sides incorrectly, it will mess up all my fractions. That's usually where the error comes from. Labeling wrong on accident. Alright, question 3. Question 3, I'm going to label the opposites. Let's see, hypotenuse first. Let's do hypotenuse. Is blue. Hypotenuse is across from this 90-degree angle. The opposite side is across from the theta. Adjacent is the last side that's left between the two angles. It wants cosine of theta. That means from SOHCAHTOA, it wants this fraction right here. It wants the middle fraction. A over H. Do you see how I'm starting to shorten? I'm starting to single out the one I want and just finding it. On the homework, it might ask for all three fractions. Other times on your assignment, it might only ask for one fraction. Question 4. I need to label the hypotenuse. It's across from that 90-degree angle. Hypotenuse is the longest side. Opposite is on the opposite side of the theta. Adjacent is the last side that we didn't mark, or between the two angles. Adjacent between the two angles. It wants us to find tangent. Tangent, based off of my memorization tool, is O over A. So I will write tangent of that theta, that angle, is equal to 24 over 7. Let's do question 6, and if we're feeling good, we'll skip to the next ones. This one, I'm using it wants sine, so I'm going to look for the s fraction. S is O over H, which means I need the opposite side and I need the hypotenuse. Sine of theta equals the 12 over 13. Will you raise your hand if you want to see a few more on this page? We are going to do more, but do you want to see more on this page? Okay. Question 5. Tangent of theta. Why do you think I'm writing SOHCAHTOA so many times? Does anybody like repetition? Things over and over again? And maybe you don't like it, but it helps you remember. And writing things down is also a tool to help you remember. So if you really need to remember something and you write like a sentence one time, you're like, I'm not going to remember that. Write it 10 times. Helps you remember. That's why I'm writing it down so many times. Is to help us remember. Now, they only want tangent. That is going to help me single out the information from this fraction. I only need, tangent starts with t, so I only need this t1. Opposite is opposite of the theta. This is the opposite side. And then I need the adjacent. Well, for some reason, the hypotenuse is easy for me to find. Hypotenuse is across from the 90, which means the adjacent has to be this 12. It's between the two angles. So I will write tangent of my angle equals the side over the side. You try the last two on your own. You do not have to label it the same way I label it. I just need to see tangent of theta equals your fraction. I need you to find the fraction. Cosine of theta equals the fraction. That's okay. I can ask him later. Just shoot him an email and I'll be fine. This is going to look like gibberish at first, especially just looking at it. I am recording it, so you could watch the recording and I can reteach it. The last two, I'm going to give everybody a minute to try, and then I'll explain it. 2 examples will probably be good. You'll be fine. You can put that wherever you want on that side. Which one is that? When I was in high school learning this, we did not have SOHCAHTOA. I made up some weird stories to remember these. I don't think, if SOHCAHTOA is not clicking for you, I will show you my weird method. Actually, that's fine. Yeah, you simplified it. Tangent is O. So over here, 3. Over here, 1. First tangent, I'm going to label my sides. Hypotenuse is, here's my little 90 box. I'm going to label that hypotenuse, which is straight across from it. There's the H. Opposite side is the opposite side from theta. So I look at this theta, it kind of looks like an O. Opposite side, I walk across the opposite side, and it's right here on that 3. The last side is adjacent. It's between the two angles, or it's just the last side, so you know it has to be the A. My memorization tool. So, toa. Do you see how it starts with tangent? Tangent is a T. That means I want to use the O number over the A number. The O number is a 3, and the A number is also a 3. That's tangent. Cosine. Which one is the hypotenuse? What number? 17 is the hypotenuse. Good job. What side is the opposite? Opposite. Good. Adjacent. So, toa. So, toa. It wants cosine. Who found the fraction? What did you get?
8/17.
8/17. 8. Who else got 8/17? Nice. Good job. Looks good. Any questions? Did it make sense, or is it still gibberish?
It's making a little bit
A
of
little.
smooth sense.
Cool. SOHCAHTOA is just a memorization tool. It's not like mathematically. It's just a memorization.
I remember learning it in my school.
Nice.
I don't remember much of it, but I remember.
But it looks familiar.
Yes, it does.
All right. At the top, I'm just gonna write SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. On these ones, there are no sine, cosine, tangent. They don't write any of it out. But they do give a tip. Let's see, what did I do H with? H was blue. Hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is 15. The opposite side across from theta is O. And that means that this missing side right here between the angles is the adjacent. Which one does not have a number associated with it? Which letter does not have a number? The A. The A does not have a number. I'm going to scribble it out. There's no number by it. I'm going to scribble it out, which means I have to use the S. Why do I have to use the S and I can't use the cosine, I can't use the T for tangent? I can't use those two. I have to use the S. Why?
Because A doesn't have a number.
A would be missing. A, missing. Can't even use those. So I'm going to use, which would be sine of the angle equals O over H. So they gave you a little tip on which one to use, but you basically have to build it yourself. Question 10. Hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is across from the 90. Opposite is across from the theta. Adjacent is the leftover side. Which one do I scribble out? Which one does not have a number to put in the fraction, so it messes it up? Which one?
C.
H. So I'm going to scribble it. I'm going to scribble out that H. There's no number associated with it. H has to go away. Which means, can't use sine. I can't use cosine. I have to use the tangent, the t. That means I have tangent of my angle equals O, which is a 5, over A. A is a 2. O over A. Tangent. Question 11. Hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is across from the 90. Opposite is across from the theta, or the angle. And then the adjacent is between the two angles, or the last side. I'm going to scribble out the A. A does not have a number by it. O has a 5.8. H has an 11. A does not have a number. That's why it gets scribbled. It goes away. Which means, from my SOHCAHTOA on the top, what uses O and H? S. Sine of my angle equals my O side over the H side. Question 12. Hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is straight across from the 90. It's the longest side. Opposite. Opposite is opposite of the angle that's given inside. And the adjacent is my last side. I scribble out H. Good. H does not have a number by it. That means I'm using H was scribbled out. H was scribbled out. T. Using TOA. Bless you.
Thank you.
T is tangent of my angle equals O is a 2 over A is a 6. Hypotenuse. Opposite side. And adjacent. The side that does not have a number is the A. O and H. O and H mean I have to use sine of my angle equals side O over side H. Try 14. Try 14 on your own. If you want to turn the page over, you can try it. It's a similar process. They just give you a number on the inside. Getting it? Making sense? Even though it's really weird? Hypotenuse is across from the 90. What number is the opposite? The 10 is the opposite side from the angle given, from this theta in here. That means 14 is A. We scribble out the side that does not have a number. O over A is a T, which means tangent of my angle equals O, which is a 10, over A, which is a 14. Any questions? All right, turn the page. I'm going to write SOHCAHTOA again. I'm going to label the hypotenuse. This is an H. Opposite side. There's no theta anymore. But there is a 48. 48 is marking the angle. So I'm going to go from it. Opposite of 48 is here. This side would be the adjacent side. O is 6. H is X. A is not the 48. A is just a blank side. Blank side. It gets scribbled. It does not have, see how the side length is not outside by it? There's no number on the outside by it. That means I am using sine of angle 48, because it's no longer a theta, it's not that little circle thing, equals O is a 6, H is an X. That's the setup. I will teach you to solve it later. This is the hardest part, setting it up. $16. I'm going to label the hypotenuse. This is H. The opposite side is opposite of this angle. Opposite of my angle given is right here. This would be my adjacent side. There is nothing on this side. There's no number. O has a 10, H has an X, A has nothing. A gets scribbled out. That means I'm using sine of my angle equals O, which is a 10, over H, which is an X. question 17. The hypotenuse is across from the 90. The opposite, my angle's right here in this corner, opposite of the angle given. I used the wrong color. Man, I keep switching up the colors, I'm sorry. Then the adjacent is between the angles, or the last side. I am going to scribble out the O. O does not have an outside number with it, so O gets taken away. That leaves A and H. A and H go with the cosine piece. Cosine of my angle equals my A, which is a 13, over the H. I'm going to label my hypotenuse. I'm going to label the opposite side from the angle and my adjacent. Which one gets scribbled out? H. Good. H gets scribbled out. There's nothing on the side by it. That means I'm using O and A, which is TOA. Tangent of my angle 25 is O over A. X will not always be on the bottom. Sometimes it'll be on the top. It's just the pattern that keeps happening. X tends to be on the bottom right now. Are you okay trying the last two? I'll just give you a minute, and then I'll show them. The last two, and then you can work and try some on the assignment. There are only 15 on the assignment that you need to set up. That's right. Good. We're just setting up patterns. Cosine, tangent, and sine, these trig functions, they've basically taken a ratio of all these different triangles and put it into a trig function that will evaluate it for you. Alright, let's check. From the 90, this is the hypotenuse. From the angle, it gives us the opposite side. Last side is the A. I'm going to get rid of whatever side does not have a number on it. For this one, it was the H. The H did not have a number out there by it. That means we use O over A. Tangent of angle 25 is X over 3. We got that on 19. Nice. Good job. Cool. All right, 20. Where is the H? the x. Alright, where's the O? The blank side. And the A is 12. What do I scribble out? They pair up. X and H pair up. Does O have a pair? No pair on the O. O goes away. That's cosine of my angle equals what fraction? 12 over x. Jump. That's right.